Good afternoon, and welcome to Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church for our organ concert series. My name is Brenda Portman, and I'm the resident organist here, and we are glad to have you with us this afternoon. This is the 21st season of our organ concert series, and you might know that this whole season was meant to be duos, organ plus another instrument. And if you were at the last concert, you might know that, well, this concert is actually the first duo you're going to get to hear this year, because the last one didn't quite work out as planned. But you'll notice in your program that the organ and flute duo has been rescheduled for May, so we hope that you'll put that date on your calendar and come back for that. I just have the usual announcements, so please silence cell phones or any devices that you may have that could make noise. We are recording the concert, so if you could help us to get a good recording, that would be great. We want to thank various partners, especially WGUC, Michael Hughes, our recording engineer, and Clover Nook, which prints Braille programs for us so that we can give a program to visually impaired friends who can also then read what's going on in the program. If you are not on our mailing list, either for snail mail or for email, and would like to be, there are little pink comment cards at the entrances that you can grab one and fill out and leave in the offering plate when you leave, and we'll be happy to add you and send you communications about future concerts. We run solely on your donations, your generosity, and we do not charge a ticket price for you to get in, but there will be offering plates at the end, so if you feel so inclined and would like to help us to continue these wonderful concerts, we very much appreciate your gifts to the series. And finally, there will be a reception following the concert out here through these doors in the Welcome Center. You're invited to stick around and chat with our guest musicians and enjoy a few bites to eat. So we hope you'll stay for that as well. In your program, you can read bios and all kinds of information about our organist and trombonists, so please help yourself to that. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Benjamin Yates and Brad Schultz.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be here, and thanks so much to all of you for being here. We really appreciate it. I've got just a few notes about the next piece, which is based on a tune written by Bach, Who Puts His Trust in God Most Just. Bach wrote this tune later in life, and if you look at the program notes, you'll see I have a typo or an editing error. He did not write it before he was born. Thanks for the catch. He wrote it in 1725. Brad and I met in undergrad. We met at college. We both went to Luther College in Decorah, Iowa. And we specifically met in the band under the direction of Mr. Fred Nylene. And Mr. Nylene had many traditions for that ensemble, but one of the traditions was playing a James Croft rendition of Who Puts His Trust in God Most Just with the wind ensemble, and it was at the end of every concert. Then we would play Stars and Stripes Forever after that and have a rousing effort. But I always liked the arrangement, and it was really meaningful. And one of the things that was really neat about it was it would start with the entire wind ensemble playing, and then everybody would kind of drop out, and eventually the ensemble would sing together. And there's something about singing together that's very special, and I probably you all know what I'm talking about. And then eventually the instrumentalists would all come back in, and it would be a really big ending to this arrangement. It was a powerful piece to perform. It was a powerful piece to listen to. And it taught me a lot of things about playing the trombone vocally and trying to create a vocal idea through my instrument. So I worked with Kevin Hilbun, the arranger of this version of Who Puts His Trust. And today's performance is in memory and dedicated to Mr. Fred Nylene.
The next piece on the program needs just a little bit of an explanation, I think. Whenever Benjamin and I perform together, we always make it an effort to premiere something new, get a new piece of music written for this ensemble, trombone or trombones, as the case may be. Imagine the look of that poor gate agent when this one shows up at the airport with all of these trombones. So the trombone and organ duo, we try to do what we can to create new pieces for this and to help make space for that to work. So the piece that you're about to hear has never been heard before. This is the premiere performance of this piece. And so this is a tune that perhaps you'll recognize. It's maybe not like Billboard Top 10 Advent tunes, Creator of the Stars of Night. It's in the United Methodist Hymnal. It's at 692. It's maybe top 40 Advent hymnody, right? Maybe you'll recognize the tune. And so what Brooke Joyce has done with this, it's often sung to the tune, Creator of the Stars of Night. And he's trying to kind of take that line from This Is My Father's World, which we sang as our sending hymn this morning for those that were in worship here, the music of the spheres. And so he's thinking about the stars, and he's thinking about our place amongst the stars and amongst the galaxies within the solar system. And so he's noted, and you see in your program notes this as well, that the melody contains 4 phrases, and each of these 4 phrases have 8 notes. And then he found 4 constellations, each which had 8 principal stars to them. Those constellations, if you know your constellations, are called Phoenix, Lynx, Andromeda, and Bootes. And so he found the distance in light years between each of the 8 principal stars in each of these constellations, the distance between the stars and us right here in Cincinnati, or maybe it was in Iowa, I'm not sure exactly. And he used those distances to come up with the proportions that he used to alter the tune, sometimes altering the melody, sometimes altering the rhythm, sometimes altering the duration. So if you know this tune or can follow along, either in the hymnal or in the program notes, maybe you can pick out little bits and pieces of this. But it's a rendition of Creator of the Stars of Night, informed by the stars, by the galaxy and our place in it. So enjoy this world premiere of Creator of the Stars of Night.
Our next work is based on a poem that you can find in the program notes, and I'll be reading some of that in between playing, so you'll get to hear some of that spoken. Radiant Ascension is a really interesting piece for trombone and organ, written by David Wilborn, who teaches trombone, wind ensemble, and composition at Texas A&M at College Station. I first learned about Dr. Wilborn's work when joining a trombone choir consortium quite a few years ago now. He wrote a work titled Tsunami that's about a small island village that's kind of dealing with the impending doom of a coming tsunami and knowing that it's coming and what do you do about that. And my favorite thing is it's for 8 trombones and air raid siren. So I investigated further to see what else Dr. Wilborn had written and found this piece. It was originally commissioned by your local CCM trombone professor, Timothy Anderson. So it was really fun to find this and discover it. As I mentioned, there will be a poem reading. You can see the whole poem in the program notes. Hopefully you can enjoy this joyous celebration and a moment of praise and thanksgiving for the sun. Silver glimmers upon the distant horizon of night's parting, signals your ever faithful return. Mountains and sea appear afire, bathed by your subtle pink, teal, and orange hues. Stretching from forever to forever, the earth awaiting your warming caress. Like an early morning lover's parting kiss, you bid the fleeing envious moon farewell until the morrow yet again. You seemingly pause to conduct the treetop chorus in song, heralding your ascent to your place of dominance. Masterful orb, bearer of light, take the throne in the midst of the sky, bathing the earth in your glory. It is now complete, thy radiant ascension. Wow, it's really pleasant to just hear Brad play, you know. So the next work on the program is by a composer that many of you probably know. Dr. Brenda Portman works here at Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church. And Spiritus is a masterful combination of hymn tunes that you'll probably recognize, in improvisation, trombone and organ duets and solos. It's a wonderful piece of music. We've really enjoyed working this piece up. We premiered it last spring in San Francisco, and I just can't say enough about the work and how it actually works for us as a duo. For one thing, it's really fun to hear these hymns. I grew up in a Methodist church, and I know a lot of these hymns, and it's just fun to hear them again. In probably 2019 or 18, Brad and I started talking about commissioning more work for the duo, trombone and organ. Brad was working as a music director at a Methodist church at the time, and he knew a lot about Dr. Portman's work. And I learned more about it as I was kind of researching. Dr. Portman wrote yet another organ and trombone piece named St. Helen's Suite, which is also written for Professor Timothy Anderson here at CCM. And we thought this would be a really great fit for our project. So I emailed Brenda and said, hey, you know, we're a trombone, organ duet. Here's some of the things we've played in the past. Also, I want it to be for alto, tenor, and bass trombone. And I don't know, if I were a composer, I'd probably be like, what? Why? But Brenda wrote back and said, yeah, it sounds great. And then we said, okay, well, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 movements, something like that. And then Brenda kept having more ideas, and they were cool ideas. So the whole thing really, the project grew and really became something very special. We've really had a lot of fun working this up, and we're really glad that we get to perform it again here and for the composer.
I want to take my opportunity as well to thank you so much for spending a little bit of your weekend, a little bit of your afternoon with both of us. We've really enjoyed our time together and really want to thank also, in addition to all of you, wonderful folks here at Hyde Park Church for their wonderful hospitality, especially the members of the music staff, Ben Owen, and of course Brenda Portman, who not only organizes the series, she writes the music for it. It's really great. It truly is a gem in the organ world, in the church music world, the composition world, and runs a really fantastic series here. So thank you so much again for having us. We began the program with the first piece that we know of, at least today, for trombone with accompaniment, with a basso continuo accompaniment. The first really kind of significant piece in the repertoire for organ, modern organ at least, and trombone comes from Gustav Holst, a trombone player himself, who wrote very little for solo trombone or trombone and instrument for whatever reason, but a real fantastic piece and kind of a staple of the repertoire. So we'll end the proceedings this afternoon with a little bit of Holst. Thanks so much for joining us.
Amen.